The lecture itself is the 26th version, but the Konverge is actually the 48th version.
Okay.
Yes. The Konverge is our annual general meeting of the organization itself, and we have it at the end of our own year. Our year starts between August and September. So at the end of the year, we use that opportunity to take stock of what we've done over the year. And then report to all members. That's why we have the annual general meeting. And then the lecture itself is the lecture in honor of Professor Wole Soyinka, and we've been doing this for the past 26 years.
Okay.
And we've had various speakers that have come to speak to us regarding various issues, international issues, and also issues within Nigeria itself. This particular lecture is being undertaken by Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, former governor of Lagos and also former minister of works and housing. So it promises to be a very interesting lecture indeed.
Okay. Today.
All right. Why the choice of Abeokuta for this one?
Right. We normally would have our Konverges or annual general meetings in different places because we also use it as to kill several birds with one stone. We ensure that we do something within the community itself, and also use it to ensure that we assist where we find issues surrounding social advocacy. But this particular year, we're using it to honor our founding father itself, Professor Wole Soyinka. And we brought the Konverge down to Abeokuta so that we can be with him to celebrate his 90th birthday.
Okay.
So not only Abeokuta, I'm particular also about the choice of the venue. You are using Ake.
Yes.
Ake, good venue, but it's strange that you are using, maybe other places, cultural center will have been there, and all that. Why Ake?
Ake has his own significant value as well. Normally what we would do, as I said before, we use our Konverges to also carry out social advocacy, particularly in the area within the health, because we carry out a medical mission, and in this medical mission we provide free medical health care to citizens within the community. So, and prior to us deciding where we want to have our Konverge, we always have a kind of a scoping mission where we try and find out what kind of areas that are going to be of benefit to the people. And we targeted Ake for several reasons. One of it is that we identified that we could make a difference to the community itself. We also identified that Ake has a significant relationship as well with, even with Professor Wole Soyinka, and also with the paramount ruler of Abeokuta himself. And we thought that it would be a good opportunity, seeing that we can combine all of these things together and then have it in this particular location.
Okay, now let's narrow the 26th lecture down now. Tell us about it. What do you expect people to gain when this lecture is eventually, when you eventually do this lecture on the set day? What do you want people to gain from it? What are the things that are so special about this lecture this time that you want people to gain from? So tell us about the lecture.
The lecture itself is, as I said, going to be delivered by Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN. The intention is, of course, to showcase a lot of the issues that we have in the country itself. And we're hoping that people will be able to take away from it a bit more insightful knowledge for someone who has been there, who has lived and walked the walk. He stopped and he also walked the walk as well. And we're also hoping that from his experience being in government, on a state level and also in a federal level, he would have the insight and the knowledge to impart on us the message which he has, which is also about good governance as well.
Do you have a theme?
Well, the theme for the conference itself is, the lecture itself is something to do with throwing the baby out with the bathwater itself, and then we're looking at it from the perspective of, or rather we are taking from that perspective the issue of understanding what governance is all about, and also to ensure that even as we advocate for good governance, we do not expect that everything all comes in all at once.
Okay.
All right. You spoke earlier about some social activities that will be done in Abeokuta during this Konverge. Can you let us into one or two of them?
Yeah, we obviously we have the courtesy visits, which we're planning to visit the Alaki of Egbaland to let him know what we're planning to do within Abeokuta and his environs. And we also have the intention to, we have the plans to meet with the governor as well. And in addition to that, we have the medical mission, which I mentioned earlier on, and that will be taking place tomorrow, and in Ake. And then in addition to the lecture, on the day of the lecture, we intend to have an awards for youth, in terms of the youth who have made Wole Soyinka Awards. That is meant to celebrate youth who have had an impact within their own society as well. And we would be launching a history of NAS, the book about the history of the National Association of SEADOGS, started in 1952 by Professor Wole Soyinka and 6 others. And this book is meant to actually tell our own story from our own perspective, to let people know how the organization evolved from the days when it was started in 1952 right up to where we are today, and all the issues that we have gone through internally and externally, the various aspects of impact that we've made in society, and the challenges that we faced both internally and externally as well.
Okay, let me pick him from the history that you talked about. Why are you coming out public this time? 70 years for the first time after NAS was, as an association was started. 70 years, you are coming public to tell the world, to tell the people that this is what we have been going through. But along the line, people see you as, in quotes, you should understand, as people who are not portraying the association, are not people who are portraying the good side of erecting or having an association. So why are you coming public? Is it for you to erase some myths about NAS? Is it for people to know what NAS is all about?
Well, to start off with, way back when the organization was still in its formative years, the belief was that there was no absolute need for us to come out and state that we are the ones doing ABC. We always had this social advocacy approach right from the onset. And we did a lot of our activities just behind the scenes, and just our own intention and main focus was to ensure we have an egalitarian society that is bound by justice to the people, and also try to be the voice of the voices when the need arises. So we did not see a need to be stamping our names on everything at that time. But as time went on, we did realize that it was beginning to seem as if people were seeing us in a different light, particularly because we kept ourselves to ourselves and not necessarily come out in public to do several things. So over the years, the organization itself has evolved, and we have chosen to ensure that we tell our own story by letting people know the areas that we have been involved in, and so on. And some of these activities included the formation of, this road safety was part of what we had been involved in originally. And we've also been involved in international activities, like when the initial Darfur crisis started, we were very much into it. And right now we have a United Nations recognition right now by United Nations. And basically it just goes to show that we have since come out into the open to ensure that we are very upfront with the activities that we do.
Okay, were you worried about how the public initially accepted you as an association? Because some people will see you as being confrontational or not following the rightful societal values that you are supposed to follow as an association. Were you worried? Or let me say, how did you correct those little challenges along the way?
I think the main instigator for that kind of line of thought is basically because people do not understand our own approach to things, and basically they look at us that, okay, we have meetings late in the night, or we have a different way of dressing, and we're a little bit boisterous sometimes, and they think that, okay, this is a little bit different, and because we don't understand them, they put a tag on it. And over the past few years, we've actually defended our own image, in the sense that wherever we find people who are determined to paint us in a bad light, and we have tried to correct that notion, we have actually gone to court on it, and we've won at least 2 different cases in court where people have tagged us as cults, and we won judgment against that. So basically, it's just the general misunderstanding that usually occurs, and then you also find that sometimes when you're fighting against ill in society, we're fighting against the evil in society, it always fights back, and that's where you see people coming up with all sorts of false narratives just to paint us in a bad light.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that we know your association, the National Association of SEADOGS, to do is to speak for those that don't have voices, yes, and also what some people call speaking truth to power. How do you go about this? Because we've seen people that claim to be speaking truth to power, but don't really weigh the pros and the cons. They just throw the baby and the bathwater away. How do you go about your own approach?
What we often do is, firstly, we don't behave like a bull in a china shop, right? We don't charge in and then start throwing things just for the fun of it. We do our own research, and we also ensure that we learn before we leap into whatever it is that we're trying to speak to. We just recently we went into a society and a community in Rivers State, and where flooding had taken over the whole land, and the government there wasn't really doing much to help out the citizens there. And our team went actually to that community, and we had first-hand experience of what was happening there, and then we reported and did a press conference and a video about it, which is you can see on our website, on our YouTube channel, regarding that community itself. And then we also then put out pressure, put out a press statement, put out pressure, and follow up with the necessary agencies to ensure that these citizens who have been left in this predicament and sorry state are actually given better succor for their challenges, even though it's an environmental issue, but at least the government should be doing something to help them out, and that's what we do. And in other cases where we, for example, like a few weeks ago, we did a public campaign regarding people who have been incarcerated just for speaking about the freedom of speech. We've been incarcerated in. We made a few statements about that, and we continue to do such things to ensure that people's rights are not impugned upon.
Right. You spoke earlier. I want to take you back to that issue of medical outreach that you'll be doing tomorrow. Who are those you're expecting? Who are those? Probably use this platform to invite them. And also, the ones you've done in the past, what has been the feedback, so to speak?
Okay. So we, as I said earlier, we normally would do a scoping mission to assess the necessary requirements of the society that we're going into, the community we're going into, to try and ensure that we are going to be able to provide the right type of assistance to them, in medical assistance. Within our membership, we have all spectra of various skills. We have medical doctors, pediatricians, and pharmacists and so on and so forth. And they all come together and pool their own skills, and we backed up with the resources of the organization. We go into the community and we expect people from within the community to come up for checks and so on. And we do this on the back of fully understanding that the government cannot provide everything for everyone. So we come in like a kind of a buffer. But at the same time, we just don't do that and walk away. We also try as much as possible to understand why these people are not receiving the health services that they should expect from the government. And we then come up with our own statistics on how much we have done over the various years, and put a paper to the health ministry, whether it's federal level or state level, to try and point out the areas that we have observed, the issues that are repeating within those areas, and ensure that we follow up to make sure they provide a form of service to these people. And over the years, we've been doing our medical missions, I think since 2012 or thereabouts, and sorry, not 2012, 2002 or so. And we have been, over that period, we have seen probably about 40,000 or 60,000 people, patients over that period. And there is always a need. Even, I think about 4 months ago, I was even in the Riverine area in Warri, and where we went to see the community leaders there and saw that they had been neglected. Their community is actually, you can't drive there. You can only reach there with canoes and all that. And we went down there to see what their needs are. And we also took our own team down there to help them out with their healthcare challenges as well. So we try and do these things as often as possible to ensure that the citizens, wherever we find ourselves, are at least given a little bit of succor when it comes to healthcare challenges that they may have. The ones that we need to refer to hospitals, we do that, and we ensure that we follow through on that as well.
Very common. How do you describe your relationship with the various government at all levels? What's it like? What's your relationship like? Is it strong? Is it?
I believe we have a cordial relationship with all levels of government. I have made out various press releases over the years, and our press releases always point out the issues that we've observed, and we also we prefer solutions to those as well. I mean, obviously, our solutions that we offer can be taken or not taken by the government, whatever, but at least we ensure that we give out these solutions. And sometimes we've taken it beyond even talking about it, and there was a time there was a need for us to carry out a demonstration regarding the, I think it was the Minister of what's it called, the IT Minister at the time, and
okay.
we did a demonstration in Abuja about it to ensure that he was, because we discovered that there was an abuse of office going on, and he needed to leave the office, and we did a demonstration. Of course, the state government saw that, and I'm sorry, the federal government saw that, and they also saw other activities that we've done. But it doesn't mean that we are out there to just fight government and all that. We're there to give them advice if we feel that we observe things are not being done properly. And we also, on the state level, we also have the same cordial relationship. In Lagos State, the state government actually, a few years ago, gave us an award for the work that we did within the community. We have the award, which is was presented to the state branch in Lagos. And whenever we carry out our various activities, it's always in conjunction with the state as well, to ensure that the state medical the Ministry of Health is carried along. We don't just jump in and start doing things. We always make sure we carry them along.
Okay, so I want to ask an addendum to what we've been saying. What is your yardstick, the association's yardstick, to picking these beneficiaries or city that will benefit from whatever activity or program that you think are good for the people? Do you seek the help of the government? Do you go and make research from the people yourself? So, or your association will just pick something to do and go to the city and do it. How do you pick, and how do you pick your beneficiaries as well?
So our organization has quite a widespread within the country. I mean, aside from the country, we also have membership across the whole world. We have branches in the US, UK, Canada, Europe, Japan, South Africa, and Australia, including Ireland as well, the Republic of Ireland. And because of the reach that we have, even within Nigeria, with over 63 branches across the world, our members are able to see what is happening within the communities. So they bring that to the attention of the central organization itself, and then we set out a scoping mission to find out exactly what the issues are. And just as I mentioned before regarding what we did in Warri and also in River State, we from the scoping mission that we do, then we then decided what level of intervention is required. We did some in Lagos as well about a year ago, and also from the basis of what we find out, we then carry out all these various interventions through the medical mission, and it's on the back of that we then follow up with a form of advocacy on what we're doing. Then in addition to that, we sometimes have the public come to us as well and say, like, we need assistance in A, B, C, or D, and then we see whether those kind of things are things that we can undertake ourselves, or whether we need to refer them to the right agency that will do that.
Okay, so out of this impact that you have been making, which we now consider the greatest impact of all that you have been doing over the years?
That's a tough one, because you're trying to ask me which one of these is my favorite child. I think because our foundation is basically on social advocacy, the work that we've done as social advocacy really stands out great in all the work that we've done over the 70 years that we've been in existence. So I think we hold that very dearly, is what people know us for, and which is why speaking to truth to power comes naturally to us.
All right, I want to ask about, Wole Soyinka is known for being a playwright. Are there part of the program that would depict maybe drama, storytelling? Do you have any of that? Because you can't do that celebrating him without having that ingredient.
Very much so, and I'm glad you brought that up, because part of the program that we're doing on Friday, aside from the lecture itself, we're also having a play which he wrote, and is an amalgamation of different plays that he had written, and which is titled Wheel of Justice. That will be done at June 12th Cultural Center, and it's starting at 6 o'clock. It's open to the public to come. I think they would really enjoy that particular play.
Is it free of charge?
It's free of charge for everyone to come. Yeah, same with the lecture, is free of charge. We're inviting everyone to come for the lecture. We're going to start at 11. We expect everyone to be seated by 10. And I'm fairly certain that we all have a good time on Friday.
Now, but going beyond this, are you thinking, because Professor Wole Soyinka has written a lot of books, a lot of stories, and this, going by the reduction in the reading habits of young people these days, are you thinking in the direction of converting them to something that they can see on screens?
We actually had a book called Adventures of Captain Blood, which was more or less written in form of a comic book, and just to ensure that we can reach younger audiences. The whole point of that book was to showcase the activism of Professor Wole Soyinka, and also some of the works that he has done as well. And aside from that, what some of our branches have done is to actually have a reading club for children. They have them to where some of our members who are working within the education environment have come together to revive that reading culture within children, because now social media appears to have taken that space. So children tend not to read like when I was their age. They're young in the younger days when we used to read a lot of novels and so on, and we even competed amongst ourselves who has read that or who has read this. But these days it's all about skits and videos and TikTok and so on. So we're trying as much as possible to bring that reading culture back to the children.
Okay, now let's talk about NANS, National Association of SEADOGS, and Professor Wole Soyinka himself. What are the similarities? What have you gotten from Wole Soyinka that has helped the association grow? Over 70 years now that the association has been on board. Yeah. So tell us the correlation between Professor Wole Soyinka and NAS.
So Professor Wole Soyinka has always been the beacon that we see. He has been the spiritual head of the organization, and we take a lot of lessons from seeing his own life and his own activism in what he has done that led to him winning the Nobel Award, and also to the steadfastness he's had in the, defending the rights of people within the country and even outside of the country itself. So we have formed and formulated our own ethos around this and have continued to use this as a own guiding light in the way we operate as an organization.
So is that why NAS is always seen as being confrontational? Because Professor Wole Soyinka, to some people, is confrontational. He'll come out and tell you how he feels about an event or issue. So is that why NAS is taking after his footstep by being confrontational in quotes?
Well, I probably would not describe it as being confrontational. It's more or less like just speaking to what we feel should be the truth. Yeah. And quite often the truth is always bitter, and people tend to, especially when they are on the wrong side of the truth, they will always want to push back and tag all sorts of names to what you're doing. So what we try as much as possible to do is to ensure that whatever the case may be, we will tell it as it is and ensure that regardless of who is involved, we will always follow the path which we know is the right path.
Okay, we've just spoken about one aspect of your Konverge 48th edition of Konverge, which is the Wole Soyinka lecture thing. What other things do you have lined up for this special Konverge you are having in Ogun State? Tell us other things that you have in place the day that you go. You talked about the medical mission. Do you have any other thing? And how are you expecting people to join you in this Konverge?
So the main activities which involve the public is the medical mission, like we said, which is happening tomorrow at Ake, and we also have the lecture which we've spoken about, and the award for the youth for Professor Wole Soyinka award that we're giving out, and the book launch which we're doing, and most importantly, we're trying as much as possible to also entertain and celebrate Professor Wole Soyinka, and we're doing that with the play, which is also taking place on Friday. And all these activities are the public activities. Okay. Then we also have our own internal activities, which is the annual general meeting itself, which takes place on Saturday. At that annual general meeting, like I said, is when we take stock of what we've done for the year, and then we will report back to the the membership, what we've achieved, the areas we could have done better on, and then our plans for the future.
Okay, so the national CAPOON is a lifelong thing.
No, it isn't.
Okay.
It's an elective position,
okay,
and it's tenured as well. So once the tenure is over, we have an election and someone else comes in.
Okay.
All right. I was talking about the National Association of SEADOGS. If someone wants to be a member, what's the procedure?
We take membership from the public just once a year, and it's usually, the criteria is often about the interest in the country and the interest in the organization. And we also ensure, just as is been widely known, we do not operate on campuses, and we've stopped that since 1984. So we also, one of the key criteria is to ensure that the applicant is no longer a student by them showing us their certificate that they've left university, you know, the certificate of the course that they've undertaken, and also their NYSC discharge certificate or exemption certificate, right? So once we have that, then they are free to join. But again, we have ways of how we go through the criteria as well. We try as much as possible to ensure that this person has the same mindset of having interest in doing social advocacy and interest in helping the people, being part of the voice for the voiceless and so on. So we take out various assessments on that before the final recruitment. So
what time of the year do you do that, since it's once in a year?
The process is a very long process. So we start that process usually around November, and the final recruitment takes place around June. So it's stages where we try and assess who we are trying to take in.
Okay. Right. So you go for all the checks, the security checks and
we try as
moral
much as,
checks and all that?
We do a few checks, yes.
Okay. I was wondering why it takes that long
for
a person to come into an association. So your association, is it a foundation or an NGO?
Well, it's more like an NGO,
okay, because
we are registered with the CSC, and we've been registered since I think 1984 or thereabouts, and we operate as a non-governmental organization. Yes.
Okay.
What is it about Professor Wole Soyinka that you know that probably the public really don't know or have a wrong perception of?
Well, it's quite. I think one thing from my own personal perspective, because each person would have a different notion. I've come to understand that he's someone that is very thoughtful in what he does. Before he makes his statements, he's already done so much research in what he's doing. He's learned a lot about the topic he wants to talk about, and he's more than well versed in what he wants to say. So it makes me really, really curious to learn more from his statements, and also it assists us in trying to be better people in the way we also view our own point of view when it comes to deciding issues surrounding social justice.
So, if I understand, he's the only Nobel laureate we have in Nigeria, and his Nobel Prize is in literature, yes. Which means that there's something both the local, state, and federal government can glean from him that should improve our education sector. What are those things that you think we can learn from this man while he's still alive, celebrating him, that we can put to use in the educational sector to make it better than it is right now?
One thing which we could do very much more of is the improvement of critical thinking in our education system. I think that has eroded quite a lot, and it has devalued the quality of the education. And these are things that Professor Wole Soyinka would always bring forward in his analysis about the subject matter he talks about, even in his plays, in his memoirs, and so on. You would find that you would need to think well to really grasp some of those things. And the absence of critical thinking is a death on our educational system itself. And that's what I feel that we need to be able to bring back.
All right. Now that you are bringing this to Ogun State, people of Ogun State would like to know, especially people of Abeokuta, the capital, what are the economic benefits of this 26th Wole Soyinka lecture, the 40th Konverge? What is the economic benefit to Ogun State and Abeokuta as a city?
Well, the fact that you're having an influx of about maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people coming to the state over that period obviously would make a difference in terms of income to those providing accommodation, the hoteliers, those providing the food, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure that afterwards, the health medical mission that we're doing, the improvement of the health of the people would ensure that you have more people who are able to still continue to join the workforce. And I think generally we always leave a positive mark wherever we have either our quarterly general meetings or our annual general meetings, to the effect that at least the people, the community where we are, has a positive benefit to them economically through how much we're expending in the period that we are around.
All right. It is coming in now, but I want to ask: have you been? I'm sure you've been to Ijegba.
Yes, I have. Yes.
What makes that place? What do you think that place has a contribution to the longevity that we see in Professor Wole Soyinka?
One thing which has been one of the high points of society these days is issues about the environment, right? Environmental impact about certain things, the encroachment of the desert and so on. But when you go to Ijegba, you would notice that the environment plays a critical factor in the serenity of that particular area. The fact that Professor Wole Soyinka has ensured that nature surrounds him. We all know that he likes hunting and all that, but he also ensured that even the trees and the type of trees, the foliage, the fauna, everything adds to the serenity of the place. And you can't but not have a much more relaxed and healthy life within that environment. So we're not surprised about the health of Professor Wole Soyinka, because these are something that, given the chance, a lot of us would want to have such serenity within our lives as well.
Okay, talking about NANS now, one of your key points is looking at human rights and social justice. In Nigeria, do you think you are working towards your goal or mission of NANS, looking at human rights and social justice? Are you satisfied that your goals, your mission towards this two in particular is being achieved? And if you are having challenges achieving these things, looking forward, how do you want to achieve them?
The fight to sustain human rights is something which all over the world continues to be an ongoing fight, because regardless of how developed a country might be, there are always challenges regarding sustaining that human rights, even in developed countries. Yeah. So over here in Nigeria, we also have that equal challenge. There is this overhang of the military era where a lot of human rights were eroded and people fail, particularly people who are in power, so to speak, like governance in power. They still have that hang-up of the military era where they feel that you can impugn on people's rights without any consequences. So there's always that need to continue that fight and to ensure that whenever we see such rights being impugned upon, to speak up straight away. So it's an ongoing fight. We don't say that, okay, we've done everything and that's the end of it, because as you are finishing with one, another one is starting. So we continue to be vigilant about it, and as often as we can, we make our voices heard.
Okay, so how many chapters do you have all across the world, not Nigeria alone? And how do you pass this message of ensuring that human rights and social justice is achieved wherever they are, and they are preaching the gospel to people? So you tell us the number of chapters you have and how your associations or association members all over are doing with the human rights and social justice mission.
We have 63 chapters across the world,
okay,
and still growing. We're going to have
still growing.
Still growing. We're going to be having some new chapters inaugurated at this annual general meeting as well. Okay. We all have a constitution, okay, and in our constitution it contains our mission, our vision, and also what is expected of every single member. We also have our book of values, which expresses what our individual perspective and point of view should be as a member of the organization and as the organization in whole. That way, everyone is singing from the same hymn book. So when it comes to looking within the community where they are to see what the social justice intervention should be, it's always based on our own vision and mission that we've put very clearly. It's on our website as well. So it's easy for us to all communicate as one, and also to ensure that even as we communicate, we continue to improve on what we're doing.
Okay. So Professor Wole Soyinka is one of the founding members, right?
Yes.
Okay. Other founding members, can you give us their names, and if they are still alive, let's know. If they are not, let's know.
Sadly, Professor Wole Soyinka is the only surviving living founding member. Okay. We lost most of them. The most recent one was engineer. Well, we have Muiwa who departed quite a while back. Sylvester Ebuchelam. We have various other members that are that all convened together at University College of Ibadan at the time. So it's been quite some time now that many of our members have, many of our founding members have departed. But the ethos that they left behind is still something that we continue to imbibe on, and continue to follow that same social justice rule.
Okay. Since you are fighting against social injustice in some sense, do you have politicians as members amongst you?
All our members, the organization itself is not political, okay, but all our members are free to belong to whatever political party that they want to as individuals. Okay. Right. So we do have members who are members of APC, PDP, LP, all sorts, okay, SDP, and so on. We have members from a different, and that's their own personal, because we do not restrict freedom of association within the organization. So people are free to join whatever party they want to. But as an organization, when we speak as the organization, we are not in support of, we're not speaking on behalf of any political party.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any disciplinary role, disciplinary measures in your books in case of any variation from any member?
So with regards to, every organization would always have issues where you have, what's it called, grievances and so on that will spring up once in a while. And we have a very robust grievance resolution system, which we go through, and has different stages of which all those grievances are listened to and so on. And people can always petition when they feel they are aggrieved in one way or the other. So that is something that we've done over the many years. And we've also have reasons to expel members when we feel that they are not living in the line of what we expect a member of the organization to be doing. Perhaps those who were found to be guilty of a criminal offense and so on, or people who have violated our own internal rules and regulations, which is there to ensure that we behave like good citizens as we should be. So we also carry out suspensions sometimes when we feel that there's a need to suspend members for bad behavior and so on. So that's always...
Right. August 1st, 2024 is a day that has been talked about in the last 2 to 3 months in this country. I don't want to say too much, but you know what I'm talking about. Are there any security arrangements in place by your association with the program that you have starting from tomorrow, so that there will be no disturbance, knowing what's going to happen in the couple of starting from tomorrow?
Yes. Normally, even before this particular AGM itself, wherever we have in our AGMs or our quarterly general meetings, we always ensure that one of the first steps we take is to inform the security agencies within that environment that, okay, because when they suddenly start seeing a lot of people coming down, they don't have the wrong idea that something is negative is about to happen. So we always ensure that we inform them. And we have done so because we started planning this event probably about 8 months ago or whenever, that we've been planning the event, so we've been informing them. And even up to yesterday, we had a meeting with all the security agencies, the police, the DSS, and all the road safety and so on, and even the civil defense and so on, just to ensure that the security which we require is still in place, and they assured us of all the various processes and plans that they already have in place. We also we had a walk around just to ensure that even the venues that we intend to use where security posts will be and so on. But one thing that they also assured us is that even in Abeokuta here, that there isn't any expectant of violence. So they've reassured us of that, and that emboldened us to continue with our plans. We do not expect any violence to take place. That is from the public itself. Those who want to protest, the police have given them assurance of protection and so on. And I think one of the things that is being guarded against is the violence that usually follows up when people are protesting. And that's what has been the key concern for many people. Even those who want to protest as well are concerned about the violence. So we have enough coverage from the security agencies from that aspect, and I feel that our members and also the public should feel secure enough to attend the various activities that we have.
Okay. Do you have any affiliate group under you, or you operate just by yourself?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
I said, do you have any affiliate? Do you have a baby body from NAS, aside NAS? Do you have any body that is operating under you?
No, we don't. We are just the National Association of SEADOGS, and we don't have any other affiliates or any, how will I say, groups outside of NAS itself. So if anyone that comes up and say they're affiliated with us and so on, they are just deceiving the public, and they are also trying to usurp or infringe on our own intellectual property.
Okay, so moving forward, how should the public see NAS? Now you'll be having your 48 Konverge. That means you are getting older as an association. So what do you expect the public to see as NAS continues to grow in age, in bounds, and in membership?
One thing which has made a difference over the past few years is that if you look in the newspapers, and just do a Google of National Association of SEADOGS Party of Confraternity, you would see all the statements that we've been doing first. You would not see any negative thing as such, right? And that is what we are continuing to improve upon. The public is now beginning to see all the different works that we've been doing, both as a social advocate organization and also from the humanitarian side as well, with our medical missions and various interventions that we've been doing. So it's very clear that the narrative is already changing, except for those who are trying to ensure that the truth should not be heard, and then they keep on pushing false narratives about us. So the story is already changing.
All right.
All right, in the last almost an hour now, we've been discussing with Mr. ABIOLA OWOAJE, NAS CAPOON, that's the National Association of SEADOGS, and the discussion has been centered around Wole Soyinka's 90 and the 48th Konverge of the association, and also the 26th Wole Soyinka lecture, and so many other events that will be coming starting from tomorrow, then Friday, and over the weekend. That is the size of the program today. We have to go. But I want to say many thanks to Mr. OWOAJE. Thank you so much for coming and for enlightening us about the association and your Konverge.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and thank you also for being there since the program started at 8 o'clock. Friday is another time where we'll have another set of people, and tomorrow is the Yoruba version of Tunjo. Charity.
Okay, from me, I will implore people that you should do your part in the society, ensure that you are impacting what is the rightful impact in the society. Ensure that everything you do reflects that you're a true Nigerian. From all of us here in the studio, from our guests too, thank you for coming to, and from today, Laniro and me, Charity James, and all the crew members, we want to thank you for watching today's episode. We'll see you again, God willing.